You want more close or further away? I put the foot, yeah? Okay. So then make sure no one stands in the way. Zoom in.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare This is a song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's called the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shatanam, 100 names of Lord Chaitanya. And these names indicate the various pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Knowing someone's name means that you can connect with them very quickly. In fact, Dale Carnegie said in one of his books that the sweetest sound to any person's ear is the sound of his or her own name. So if you ever want to make good friendship, you have to remember somebody's name and say it often. And if you're walking in a distant country, in a foreign country, walking down the lane thinking you're all alone, and suddenly from a doorway you hear someone call out your name, "Hey, Srivas," you'll immediately turn around and look and think, who is it? Somebody knows me here. And even more so if they know your nickname. What would that be? Do you have a nickname?
Raja.
How do you spell it? Raja?
No, Maharaja and then below Maharaja.
Molly, can you confirm? What is his nickname? Raja?
No, just Raja.
Raja.
Maharaja is
His nickname Raja. Nicky? Like a king, Raja. So if you were walking in a distant place in a foreign country and out from the alleyway you heard, "Hey Raja," then you'd spin around fast because you think somebody knows something about me. In the same way, Krishna has primary names and secondary names, as mentioned by Thakur Haridas. Secondary names like Paramatma, Jagadishwar, controller of the universe. Krishna's not so much interested in these names, although they're nice, but those names have to do with the material universe where people aren't very interested in him. In fact, he sleeps on the causal ocean with half-closed eyes because it's a pretty boring place. But in Vraja, you notice that Lord Jagannath's eyes are wide open all the time because something's going on there 24 hours a day. Just in like Las Vegas, Nevada. It's the city that never goes to sleep. Or is that New York? Whichever one it is. Vraja's like that too. Krishna's up all night and he gets up in the morning as if he's been sleeping, even with scratches on his body, and he tells his mother they came from the bushes. But all his friends know better. And then he heads off for tending the cows in the daytime. It never stops. This is the meaning of Vraja. It goes on and it goes on. And there, Krishna has many nicknames. And when the devotees call him by his nicknames, they call him near and become very dear to him. So the whole science of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the science of the name. Taking the name of God, learning the names of God, thinking about them, writing them, singing them out loud. And just by that process, one awakens pure love for God within one's heart and calls the Lord near. So these are names of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 100 of them written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Narayana Gare Nitai Niche Niche Gare. Narayana Gare Nitai Niche Niche Gare. Narayana Gare Nitai Niche Niche Gare. Narayana Gare Nitai Niche Gare. Jagannath Sutta Mahaprabhu Vishwambar Maya Pura Shashinava. Then there's the world of technology, which I'm personally growing to like less and less. Although it is useful, we don't throw it away, but it drives me crazy. Jagannath Sutta Mahaprabhu Vishwambar Maya Pura Shashinava Diva Sundara Shashi Sundara Hari Himaya Sundara Radha Bhava Tantira Shalita Natava. So Nityananda is dancing through the streets of Nadia. Nadia Nagari, Nityananda. And he's singing the names of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in ecstasy. The devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very attached to him when he was a child, although he didn't reveal that he was the Supreme Personality of God. He was the greatest of scholars, but everywhere he went, he would harass the devotees. Meeting Mukunda on the street corner, he would challenge him to a debate and defeat him several times, and then walk away telling him, next time, study a little harder. And all the devotees were thinking, if Nimai Pandit would only become a devotee of the Lord, then we could really get this devotional service spread all over the world. And then one day, the news came that Nimai Pandit had gone to Gaya. And there he met his spiritual master, Srila Ishvara Puri. And he took the Diksha, initiation from him. Began chanting his mantras and singing the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And then he came back to his spiritual master and asked him, what kind of mantra did you give me? It's driven me crazy. I think that I've gone mad by singing this Maha Mantra. And then his spiritual master gave him a shloka from the Srimad Bhagavatam, which he said was the essence of all the instructions in Srimad Bhagavatam. Evam pratasva priyanama kirta chatakra ravo jitachukta kuche asatyato rautiti rauti gayati nimadavam vriddhiti lokavaya. And it means that when one takes a vow to chant the Hare Krishna mantra and continues doing so, then eventually the heart will melt. Jutta Chitta. And the Acharyas say that the heart of a pure devotee becomes like a flowing river of rose apple juice from the rose apple tree. The juice flows. So the heart becomes fluid. And then the devotee begins to act in apparently irrational ways. Sometimes singing in public and dancing, even falling on the ground, exhibiting ecstatic symptoms. And yesterday, a devotee came up to me after the japa period and he asked me, isn't it dangerous to chant your rounds very intensely? Because what if you actually cross that line and you become a madman? dramatic actor, asked Srila Prabhupada in a very dramatic voice, Srila Prabhupada, how do we become attached to the holy name of the Lord? And Srila Prabhupada said, the same way that one becomes a drunkard. He said, to become a drunkard, you go and associate with drunkards. And after a while, you learn how to drink. And then you learn how to fold down and lie in a doorway, sleep all night in the cold, wake up and beg some more money so you can do it all again the next day. And it's acquired taste. No one starts off as a drunkard, but by association with drunkards, anyone can become a drunkard. So Prajapati said, Srila Prabhupada, you want us to become drunkards on the holy name? And Prabhupada said, yes. holy name, his spiritual master said, "Oh, this is very good. You've attained the perfection of life by awakening love for God within your heart." And these symptoms of love of God are manifested in various ways, as mentioned by Bhaktivinoda Thakur: shivering, tears from the eyes, sometimes crying. But the Acharyas say that not everyone shows these symptoms. But Madhvacharya says that all advanced devotees show these two symptoms, and that is steadiness and mukhi prasada, which means that everything that comes from your mouth is beneficial for others, because they have no more envy in their hearts. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met the devotees back in Navadvip. They couldn't believe their good fortune, and they spread the word that Nimai Pandit has become a Vaishnava. And now he gave up his puffed up nature as a scholar, and everywhere he went he did service for the Vaishnavas, carrying their water pots, doing small errands for them wherever he could. And then he became obsessed with finding Krishna, and everywhere he went, he asked, "Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna?" And one day, Srivas Pandit told him that Krishna is within your heart. And he began, Nimai Pandit began clawing at his own chest, trying to tear it open to find Krishna. Srivas Pandit pacified him. Nariyana kare nikai So the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are sung and remembered here at Holy Dham by all the Dhamvasis, and now all over the world people are beginning to hear about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Last year we decided to distribute sets of Chaitanya Charitamrita, and we thought, well, how will we do it? Who will be interested in a book apparently from Bengal? Prabhupada explained once, in Berkeley, California, a devotee came to him and said he wanted to start a prasad business, selling Bengali sweets. And one of the book distributors was there, who had become very expert in selling books, including Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Prabhupada pointed to the book distributor and he said, "This devotee is distributing the real Bengali sweets." So we took out sets of Chaitanya Charitamritas. They fit right in a little wheelie bag, and you can take them door to door. We wondered what will happen. Knock on the door, person answers, "Yes." And the devotee says, "Here, we have something to show you. These beautiful golden books all the way from the spiritual world." And what do you think happened? He started buying them, one after another. Amazingly, this book, practically in obscurity, was brought back to the light of day by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who began writing about it, and then passed down to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and then Srila Prabhupada completed the Chaitanya Charitamrita with great urgency. It was was very difficult to print those books at the time. It was taking a long time from the BBT in Los Angeles. And they had bought new equipment with which to make the books available through publishing. And Srila Prabhupada arrived in Los Angeles, and he asked how long it would take for them to publish the backlogged translations and purports that he had written of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And they said, we can do it a little bit over a year, thinking that they had expedited the process. And Prabhupada, walking down the beach, stopped, planted his cane in the sand, and said, no, 2 months. And the devotee said, actually they said, that's impossible, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was adamant. He said impossible is the word used in the Fool's Dictionary. So Rameshwar and Gopi Ballabha, Pranabha, dropped back from the rest of the group in the morning walk, and they began to talk. Said, it's impossible, but how are we going to do it? And they began scheming. And this is what happens in devotional service. When something's impossible, but you know you have to do it, because it's the order of the spiritual master, and you decide that you're going to do it, even though it's impossible. Bhakti Tirtha Swami once said, that's when empowerment happens. So these two devotees approached Srila Prabhupada and they said, okay, we're ready to do it, but we need some concessions. Prabhupada said, whatever you need, you can have. Just complete the book in 2 months. So they told Prabhupada, we need more artists. And each painting can't be scrutinized, because Prabhupada used to look at each painting personally and make sure that it was at the top quality before he would allow it to be printed. And they needed round-the-clock help with all the different aspects of the printing. So all the devotees in the New York and the Los Angeles community, New Dwarka, had to drop everything else and 24 hours a day help with the Chaitanya Charitamrita Marathon. And practically artists would paint and paint into the wee hours of the night until they would fall asleep. And one very famous artist, Parikshit Prabhu, was very particular about his artwork. Woke up the next morning and found that someone else had finished it. Artists don't like that. He became so angry that he charged into Rameshwar's office, ready to kill him. But somehow at the last minute, he fell down and offered obeisances. And some of the artwork had to be done in photographs instead of paintings, and therefore you'll see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that there are many photographs, because that was a quicker way to get it done. And Bhargava Prabhu flew all the way to India and started taking pictures of all the holy places as quickly as he could. And back then there was no email, there was no scanning, there was only long-distance telephone calls and landlines, no cell phones, no email, no attachments. You just had to go there, take the pictures, and develop them the old-fashioned way as a developer. So the devotees working around the clock finally finished the Chaitanya Charitamrita in 1 day over 2 months. And in 11 telling them before their service they were guaranteed to go back to Godhead. He also mentioned, by the way, you're one day late.
Few are missing, huh?
Yeah.
How many?
It's a different version.
Oh, different versions.
Yeah. And so now, I'd like to read to you from Vrindavan Das Thakur's Chaitanya Bhagavat. Is that be all right?
Oh,
Okay. Yes? It's okay with Navina. But first, that will require some water. And who could give a verse about water, Krishna and water? I'll just all do it together. And now, how about a pastime that involves water and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Okay? Guess what? Ramananda Saka Prabhu's coming up. That means there's an extra microphone somewhere. No? Koladesha Sridhar. What about the pastime?
After Mahaprabhu had met the people, we were discussing earlier about causing rotate, and then Mahaprabhu held a big decision. And after the decision was done, then he was tired and he was thirsty at it. And then he came to the hut of Koladesha Sridhar, and then there was this old beaten up lota, which was so in a very used condition that no people would even dare think of stealing. And that lota was all Sridhar, Koladesha Sridhar would use for everything, for drinking water, for doing every other thing he would use that same lota. And Mahaprabhu came and he drank and washed in that lota. Satisfied his condition, Koladesha Sridhar said, "My Lord, what are you doing?" And then it was love.
Mahaprabhu said for his own purification is taking that water. And at the house of hidden here is Koladesha Sridhar. He's a great devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's very poor. He lived in a rundown shack, and he would sell the hearts of banana leaves for a living, which is for very few paisa, a few pennies each. And he was fully devoted to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was a great devotee. And he had an old pot, a lota, that he used, that he'd keep on his porch. He didn't mind keeping it on the porch because it was so beat up and battered and used for so many things. A service lota, they call it, that no one would steal it. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of affection for his devotee, came there one day and picked up that lota and he drank the water from it. And Kulavecha Sridhar let out an alarm that, oh no, please, don't drink from this. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took great pleasure and said, this is for my own purification, taking this water from my devotee. And I saw and used the lotus that Prabhupada brought across the ocean with him on the Jaladuta. It's a lota about this big at the house of one of my godbrothers. He happened to get that lota, and it has all kinds of dents in it. Prabhupada used it as a service lota coming across on the Jaladuta. And you can just put water in it and put it on your head, sit there and chant japa. And these things are called tadiya. When Parvati asked Lord Shiva, what is the most worshipable object in this world, she said that Vishnu is the most worshipable, but even more worshipable than Vishnu are the things in relationship to Lord Vishnu, tadiya, including the devotees of Lord Vishnu and the things that his paraphernalia, but especially his devotees. And so all the paraphernalia of the Lord and the devotees of the Lord who are especially dear to him are purifying, so we should seek their association. What about another pastime with water? Yes.
The passing away of Srila Haridas Thakur. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after Srila Haridas Thakur left his body, he carried him all the way to the ocean and he bathed him. And actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his hands, the devotees drank the water that washed the feet of Haridas Thakur.
Jai. Haridas Thakur ki jai. Okay, here's from the Chaitanya Bhagavad. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Chapter 1 from the Adikanda. Summary of Lord Gaura's pastimes. The first 5 verses of this chapter are the Mangalacharana, or auspicious invocation verses. In the first verse, the author offers his respects to both Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. In the second verse, he offers obeisances to only Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the third verse, the author discloses the confidential knowledge that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is non-different from Sri Krishna, the son of Yashoda, and Nityananda Prabhu is non-different from Sri Balaram, the son of Rohini. In the fourth verse, the author glorifies the form, qualities, and pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Chandra. In the fifth verse, the author glorifies the pastimes and characteristics of Sri Chaitanya's devotees. In the beginning of the book, prayers are offered to the devotees, and the worship of devotees is described as superior to the worship of the Supreme Lord. The author then offers obeisances to the original Sankarsana, Sri Nityananda Baladev, who is not only his spiritual master, but who is his incarnation as Sankarshan or Ananta, serves Sri Krishna Chaitanya in 10 different forms, and who as Shesha constantly glorifies the qualities of Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna Chaitanya with his thousands of mouths, as he holds the universes on his heads. Sri Nityananda Prabhu is worshipable by even Lord Mahadev, the greatest of the demigods. Therefore he is Jagat Guru, the spiritual master of the entire universe. And only by his mercy can one attain the eternal service of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. The author also establishes that Lord Balaram's Rasa Lila is eternal, like that of Lord Krishna, and he cites evidence from the Srimad Bhagavatam in order to refute opposing views which are contrary to the conclusions of the scriptures. While describing the glories of Lord Balaram, the author explains that although Balaram is non-different from Krishna, the son of Maharaj Narada, He nevertheless serves Krishna by accepting various forms, such as his friend, brother, chamara, bed, house, umbrella, clothes, ornaments, and seat. The truths regarding Nityananda Baladev, like those of Gaura Krishna, are difficult for even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva to understand. In his form as Shesha, Lord Baladev supports the entire universe and constantly glorifies the characteristics of Lord Krishna with his thousand mouths. Sri Nityananda Prabhu is that same Lord Balaram. In other words, Sri Baladev, who is the original Sankarsana, is Lord Nityananda. Other than by taking shelter of his lotus feet, there is no means for a living entity to gain freedom from material existence and attain the service of Gaura Krishna. The author composed Sri Chaitanya Mangal, or Bhagavat, by the order and mercy of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. He did not exhibit any pride by presenting this great work. Rather, he humbly states that living entities who are under the clutches of Maya cannot possibly describe by their own endeavor, the topics of the Lord, who is the controller of Maya. Out of his causeless mercy, the Supreme Lord personally manifests in the heart of a living entity who has received the mercy of the spiritual master. In this book, the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have been described in three divisions. One, the Adikanda, mainly comprising the Lord's scholastic pastimes. Two, the Madhyakanda, mainly comprising the inauguration of the Sankirtan movement. And three, the Antyakanda, mainly comprising the Lord's distribution of the holy names as a sannyasi in Nilanchala. This chapter concludes with a summary of the contents of the entire book. The worshipable Lord and his devotee enjoy each other's association as Radha and Krishna reveal their sweet pastimes. The combined form of Radha and Krishna, Lord Sri Chaitanya, is the shelter of the fallen souls and the personification of Audarya, magnanimity, and Vipralambha Bhav, service and separation. When the confidential devotee of Sri Gaura, Sri Ramananda Roy, saw with divine eyes that Gaura is the combined form of Radha and Krishna, he was not able to see the sannyasi form of Krishna. Being absorbed in the mood of Radha, Krishna forgets himself and exhibits her dazzling complexion. The conjugal pastimes of the Lord are not manifest in his magnanimous pastimes. Vrindavan Das Thakur teaches us that one should not labor hard to find the conjugal pastimes of the Lord in his magnanimous pastimes. Lord Krishna, who enchants the heart of Gandharvika and who bestows mercy on the qualified devotees, does not belong to anyone other than Radharani. The perfection of attaining his lotus feet is achieved by serving Sri Chaitanya, who is the ocean of mercy and friend of the poor. If one hears the topics of Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda, the pangs of one's heart are certainly destroyed forever. By this process of hearing, one attains the eternal benefit of attachment to Krishna and detachment from material enjoyment. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur understood the topics of Krishna described by Srila Vyasadeva in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And in the same way, he wrote Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, describing the pastimes of Gaura, who he accepted as non-different from Krishna. The glorious pastimes of Gaura have been revealed by Sri Vrindavan Das, the servant of Lord Nityananda. Following in his footsteps and always keeping his lotus feet on my head, I write the Gaudiya Bhashya commentary on Chaitanya Bhagavat. Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat is a collection of the jewel-like pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Nityananda. One should always hear and chant with thousands of mouths the unsurpassable glorification of the Lord contained in this great book. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur preached the process of pure devotional service, and his lotus feet destroy the desire for material enjoyment. While writing this Gaudiya Bhashya commentary, I beg for his mercy. O Prabhu, let the desire for serving you always remain in my heart. By the desire of Lord Hari and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I am writing this commentary on Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. I will attentively serve their lordships in the kunjas. By the mercy of the devotees, one can achieve all perfection. Therefore, I do not keep any other desire in my mind. The pure devotees of the Lord hear and chant this Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. Sri Gaur Kishore Das Babaji is the spiritual master of this servant, so I always beg for his mercy. Sri Varshavana Vidhaitatas desires to serve the beloved Lord of Sri Varshavana Devi by giving up all offenses. O Gandharvika Hiditari, I pray day and night for your service while sitting at Sri Rajapatana, Mayapur. The opening words. The original name of Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat was Sri Chaitanya Mangal. As Sri Lochan Das Thakur, the disciple of Narahari Sarkar Thakur, wrote another book named Sri Chaitanya Mangal, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur later changed the name of his own book to Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat in order to differentiate the two books. When Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami refers to Sri Chaitanya Mangal in his Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, he is referring to this Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. It is said that Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur changed the name of his book to Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat by the desire of Srimati Narayani Devi. Anyway, as in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the pastimes of Krishna are described. In this book, the pastimes, particularly the Navadvip pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Dev, who is not different from the son of Nanda, are described. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita deals more with Sri Chaitanya's pastimes as a sannyasi in Nilachala, and therefore may be accepted as a supplement to Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur's book. This great book is divided into three parts, Adi, Madhya, and Antya. Adi Kanda extends up to the Lord's acceptance of initiation. Madhya Kanda extends up to the Lord's acceptance of sannyas. And Antya Kanda describes some of the Lord's pastimes over a period of a few years in Nilachala. The Lord's later pastimes in Nilachala are not described in this book. Such later pastimes were also not described by Sri Murari Gupta in his book Sri Chaitanya Charita. So some of these terminologies are quite esoteric. However, there is a profound effect from listening even if one doesn't understand the terminology, because the subject matter is spiritual, and of course everything has its effect in this world. Every object has some influence over us, and every sound vibration as well. And the Sri Upanishad says, Anyare Sambhavat, Anyarahura Sambhavat, Iti Shushumatiranam Yenas Tadvichachire. One result is obtained by worshipping the supreme cause of all causes, and another result is obtained by worshipping that which is not supreme. And the most potent form of worship mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam is hearing, Shravana. And the founder Acharya of our movement, the Hare Krishna movement, had mentioned several times that when he used to hear from his spiritual master, at first he couldn't understand everything that he was saying. His spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, was an erudite scholar, and his vocabulary was sometimes complex, difficult to follow. He used archaic words sometimes. He was called the walking encyclopedia. He had a photographic memory, and he had a huge vocabulary. And, however, Srila Prabhupada, who was his disciple, said that he would listen anyway. He was attached to hearing because he knew something powerful was coming. In fact, he relates a story when he was on parikram, he was on a yatra with his spiritual master, and there was an opportunity that night for devotees to go off to visit Sheshashayi Vishnu, a deity that they wouldn't be able to see the next day, or they could all stay at the tent. They made these big tents, like circus tents, so everyone could sit inside them and listen. they could stay and listen to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's lecture that night. And many or most of the pilgrims got up and went off to see Sheshashaya Vishnu, to have darshan of the deity, to see that special temple. And Srila Prabhupada, amongst some others, stayed and listened to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said at that time that, what will they see without hearing properly? And he said that this hearing is more important than seeing, because by hearing, gradually we come to understand everything. That's in normal circumstances, but in spiritual circumstances there's an added effect, which is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Shrinvatam swakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana pradyantaksto hibhatani vidunoti suritsatam, which is a beautiful poetic verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam saying that God's in our heart. And he's called Suhrit, which means he's very, very good to us. He's our best friend there within the heart. And when we give our attention to hearing about him, then he enlivens us from within the heart. After all we really have is our attention. We may think we have so many things, but all we have is our attention. And you'll notice that when you give your attention to someone, practically speaking, you're giving yourself. That's what you have. If you notice that if someone's distracted when you're talking to them, or they're not paying attention to you, or they pretend to listen and they do something else, there's the relationship becomes strained, doesn't it? Or is it just me? Yeah, this is the topic of marriage counseling and all other kinds of counseling. He just doesn't listen to me. And therefore, when one gives this kind of attention to hearing these topics, the verse says that Krishna, who lives within our heart, assists us in removing anything that's blocking our way on the path of devotional service. Vidunoti has several meanings, but one of them is that he shakes it off, just like you shake a rug. You pick up a rug from your front door and you shake it over the balcony and all the dust and everything goes out of it. So our hearts can accumulate all kinds of dust very quickly. And you give it a good shake and it all goes out. Vidunoti suritsatam. Krishna helps to shake off all these unwanted things within the heart that hold us back from advancing spiritually. So just by hearing submissively, which means that turning our attention towards the topic of Krishna, a miraculous effect is there. And it's also compared to when you put some alum in muddy water. Have you ever done that? You did it as a scientific experiment? That's how you purify water? Is that right? Wow. So you put alum and then it coagulates all the particulate matter and it falls to the bottom and then you can just pour out the clear water, right? So in the same way, the hearing process is like that as well. It coagulates all the impurities and they become sloughed off. And with a pure heart, one can see things as they are. Cheto darpana marjana means the consciousness is mirror-like. But when the mirror is dirty, we get a wrong image of ourselves and of the world and of our purpose in life. And like driving with your eyes closed on the freeway, there's going to be trouble. So when we don't have a clear idea of who we are, what our goal is, then we get into trouble and we cause ourselves grief. So by hearing, everything becomes clarified. So whatever you hear that sounds different or you can't understand it, just let it go in. Ajadulambita bujau kandakavadato sankirtanaika kataro kabalaya taksho Vishvambaro Dvijavarao Jugatarmapalo Vande Jagatpriyakarao Karunavataro. First verse of the Chaitanya Bhagavad. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu, whose arms extend down to their knees, who have golden yellow complexions, and who inaugurated the congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Their eyes resemble the petals of a lotus flower. They are the maintainers of the living entities, the best of the Brahmins, the protectors of religious principles for this age, and the benefactors of the universe, and the most merciful of all incarnations. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's purport. In this first verse of the Mangalacharna, the forms of Sri Gaura and Sri Nityananda are described. They have long arms that stretch to their knees, their complexions are like gold, and their eyes are like the petals of the lotus flower. These two brothers have been described and adored by the inaugurators of the Sankirtan movement, the protectors of religious principles for this age, the maintainers of the living entities, the benefactors of the universe, the best of the Brahmins, and the most merciful of all incarnations. Sri Gaurahari and Sri Nityananda are the bestowers of the Mahamantra, the spiritual masters of the universe, and the fathers of the pure chanting of the holy names. They are both benefactors of the universe because they preach the principles of Jive Doya, compassion for all living entities. They are addressed as Karuna and Vishrambar, merciful and the maintainers of the universe. How are they addressed? Merciful and the maintainers of the universe, Karuna and Vishrambar. Because they have preached the religious principles for the age of Kali in the form of serving Vishnu and the Vaishnavas through the process of Sankirtan, which is the only means of deliverance for the people of this age. Everyone should follow the principles of such prayers by Name Ruchi, having a taste for chanting the holy names, Jive Daya, showing compassion for other living entities, and Vaishnava Seva, serving the Vaishnavas. So this is oftentimes in the Shastra, things are made easy by condensing the basic ideas into simple principles. For instance, there are 64 processes of devotional service, and out of all of them, 5 are particularly important and powerful. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Sanatana Goswami that living in the holy Dham, chanting Hare Krishna, worshipping the deity, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, and associating with devotees are the 5 most important of the 64 items. And even if someone doesn't have faith in them and associates with them a little bit, these 5 will elevate anyone to the highest position. And similarly here, the 3 principles given, Jive Goya, showing mercy to other living entities, and Name Ruchi, developing the taste for the name, and the third is Vaishnava Seva, serving the Vaishnavas. Doesn't that simplify things? And if you just concentrate on these 3 things, then what kind of life do you think it will have? Pretty crummy? Kind of depressing? No, it will be fantastic. Just developing a taste for the name. And what are recommended ways for developing taste for chanting Hare Krishna? Pardon? Attentive chanting. Yes, mentioned in when we talk about 10 offenses in the chanting of the holy name, we mentioned that the fact that one should not be inattentive while chanting. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that inattentive chanting happens to be the root cause of all the other offenses. Because think about it, if you don't think that the chanting of Hare Krishna is if you think that it's imaginary, which is the fifth offense, the glories of chanting Hare Krishna is imaginary, then you'll tend to think of other things while you're chanting, because you won't take it seriously. Because somehow or other, you're voting with your attention and saying it's not really what they say it is. So giving your attention, and that's a big deal. And we can voluntarily give our attention wherever we like, right? Or are we doomed to be distracted forever? There's a bumper sticker in America that says, "Seek constant distraction." But really we don't need to seek it because it's already there. But Krishna recommends in the Bhagavad Gita that we learn to focus our attention on Him. Man mana bhava mad bhakto. Fix your mind on me. And that's a practice. So that's a really nice point of fixing the attention. To develop name ruchi, to have a taste for the name, we can hone our attention.
Associate with, serve, and inquire from those who already have a taste.
Associate with, serve, and inquire from those who already have a taste. Yeah, definitely recommended, and that's one of the 5 that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said you should hear from in the association of advanced like-minded devotees. Like-minded devotees who are more advanced than oneself. Anything else? To develop a taste for the name? Ramananda Saki?
Doing some services for Krishna.
Doing service. Can you substantiate from a verse from Shastra that will prove that by doing that one will develop a taste for hearing? Ramananda Saki.
Because Prabhu
Shushu Shradadhanasya Vasudeva Katarachi Syama Sevayadi Prapumya Tirtana Sheva. By serving great souls, the Mahatmas, this great service is done. And by such service, one gains an affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. An affinity. Who has the dictionary? You have a dictionary? Okay, can you look it up? Affinity. You gain an affinity. Yeah, that's really Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his song Doyal Nitai Chaitanya Bolina Shriya Marma. He mentions that if you don't develop a taste for the name, then your life is useless. What a useless waste of time. So it's a full-time occupation, how to organize one's life to gain this name ruchi. And Rupa Goswami says, here's the essence of all advice. Tanama rupa charitari sukirtanana smrityo kramena rasana manasidi yoja. Tishtan raje tanam ragi jananugami kalam nayara kilomiti padesha saram. He says the essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in hearing and chanting about Krishna. And in that way, step by step, come to develop this taste for hearing and chanting. And by that, one will revive one's original relationship with Krishna and live in Vrindavan. Tishtan Braje Tananuragi. And will become an anuragi, which means that you'll follow after a particular devotee in Vrindavan. The mood of the relationship a particular devotee has will become attractive to you, and you'll want to follow it. Let me read you something from the Chaitanya Charitamrita that I think that also substantiates this in Prabhupada's purport. May I? So not really, right? Okay. This is from the Adi Leela, and it's from the 4th chapter of the Adi Leela. I'm saying slow because I'm stalling. Chapter 4, the confidential reasons for the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I've clicked on it, and now I'm turning to the 34th verse. I've pushed that, and it opened it. I'm going to read you a purport, one of those purports, if I may. May I?
Yes.
Just for your edification, it's Adili the 434. Anugrahaya bhaktanam manusham dihamashitaha bhajete tatrisha kreda yashutva tatparo bhavet. But first, let's hear what affinity means.
A spontaneous or natural liking or sympathy for someone or something.
Wow! Read it again.
A spontaneous or natural liking or
A spontaneous or natural liking. This is very similar to what we heard in the verse Evamprata Swa Priyanama-kirta. Priyanama-kirta means the name becomes very dear to you, spontaneous. There's just something about it, and then it becomes more and more dear. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
like kinship, close agreement, a similarity of characteristics.
The kinship, and what else?
Close agreement.
A close agreement.
Yeah, resemblance, connection.
Resemblance, connection. Where does the word come from?
It comes from...
That'd be great if we had a word in English that came from Hindi.
Maybe because we're in...
I mean, I'm sure there are nowadays. Yes. Huh? Guru Navatar and Juggernaut.
Pandit.
Pandit.
Yeah.
What's the etymology? I'll let you work on it, and I'll move ahead. This is the translation. Krishna manifests his eternal human-like form and performs his pastimes to show mercy to the devotees. Having heard such pastimes, one should engage in service to him. Purport. This text is from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:33-36. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has innumerable expansions of his transcendental form, who eternally exist in the spiritual world. This material world is only a perverted reflection of the spiritual world, where everything is manifested without inebriety, either way. There, everything in its original existence, free from the domination of time, is free from the domination of time. Time cannot deteriorate or interfere with the conditions in the spiritual world, where different manifestations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are the recipients of the worship of different living entities in their constitutional spiritual positions. In the spiritual world, all existence is unadulterated goodness. The goodness found in the material world is contaminated by the modes of passion and ignorance. The saying that the human form of life is the best position for devotional service has its special significance, because only in this form can a living entity revive his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The human form is considered the highest state in the cycle of the species of life in the material world. If one takes advantage of this highest kind of material form, one can regain his position of devotional service to the Lord. Incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead appear in all the species of life, although this is inconceivable to the human brain. The Lord's pastimes are differentiated according to the appreciating capacity of the different types of bodies of the living entities. Omkar, do you remember this? We read this purport in Govardhan, and I think everyone in the room wanted to hear it about 10 times over. At least I did anyway. Can I read it again?
Yes.
Oh, all right. The Lord's pastimes are differentiated according to the appreciating capacity of the different types of bodies of the living entities. That's your AC, your appreciating capacity. And really, even though, you know, we have a human form, some people, you'll notice, have a higher appreciating capacity. Have you noticed that? So, you know, the Madhyama Adhikaris describe Ishvare Taradineshu Balisheshu Dusatsucha Prema Maitri Kohiksha Yakaroti Samadhyamaha. The Madhyama is looking out for people who have an appreciating capacity and then gives them as much mercy as possible. And those who don't have an appreciating capacity, or their appreciating capacity is diminished so much so that they can't appreciate what we're offering, and they avoid them. They don't try to force it. Appreciating capacity. Did you find affinity, the etymology, where it comes from?
Middle English, affinite. Middle French, Latin, affinitas, connection by marriage.
Connection by marriage. So affinity is some very intimate connection. And we can become intimate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although we are already, we've lost that connection. It's been obscured. The connection has been obscured. So we by service to the pure devotees, we can revive that affinity, and it manifests itself through our appreciating capacity. An increasing appreciating capacity, and that's nice. How's your appreciating capacity? The more, whatever you appreciate, appreciates. It grows. And also Voltaire said that when you appreciate the good qualities in others, then you assume those good qualities. And if you can't appreciate the good qualities in others, then you can't have them. Because the problem with nirmatsara, or envy, means that you don't appreciate. In fact, you can't even tolerate the good qualities of others. This is what Jiva Goswami says. The definition of envy is the inability to tolerate the eminence of another. You become really bummed out when someone's doing well, and happy when they don't do well. Although externally I may show otherwise. Internally, I'm pleased beyond belief. Continuing, the Supreme Lord bestows the most merciful benediction upon human society when He appears in His human form. It is then that humanity gets the opportunity to engage in different kinds of eternal service to the Lord. Special natural appreciation of the descriptions of a particular pastime of Godhead indicates the constitutional position of the living entity. You want to hear it again, right?
Yes.
Special natural appreciation of the descriptions of a particular pastime of Godhead indicates the constitutional position of the living entity. So there's a way in which the Shastra says, Sanitya Nitya Sambandha Prakrutishcha Parayavasa. We have an eternal kinship with the Lord. And it's in a particular capacity, loving capacity, for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are specifically 4 rasas mentioned by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as being active in the spiritual world, that of service mode. And then beyond that, there's friendship, and beyond friendship, there's parental affection. And then there's the affection that a lover has for a beloved. And each one of these has more and more qualities and becomes more and more intense. But actually, because God's a person, and we're eternally persons also, we never become impersonal. And God never becomes impersonal, although He has an impersonal feature. His energies manifest in an impersonal way. Our relationship is with a person. And by the process of hearing, we'll rediscover that natural relationship. And therefore, Prabhupada says, special natural appreciation of the descriptions of a particular pastime of Godhead indicates the constitutional position of a living entity. And all this is activated by the hearing process. Tanama rupa charitaru sikirtanam smrityo karmena Kramena means step by step. Smrityo means this remembering. That by hearing and then remembering and step by step, there's a way in which my original loving sentiment towards the Supreme Person is awakened. And it's an intimate relationship because there's an affinity. There's an intimate connection that we have, just like two people who have deep love for one another in various ways, like friends. And the friendship that becomes more, that becomes deeper, it becomes intimate and more friendly, natural friendly love between friend and friend. With friends who are very intimate, there's a capacity for joking at the other's expense. Do you have any friends like that? Devotee friends? You can cut them down and they think it's hilarious. And you can say stuff to them and you can hang up the Skype on them and you know, the next day you both laugh about it because you're really close with them. And the friends Krishna has in the spiritual world are so intimate with him that they wrestle with him. And in Vaikuntha, where the mood is more towards dasya, towards servitorship and reverence, the devotees can't imagine such a thing, that somebody would climb up on Krishna's back and wrestle with him. It would be considered offensive. But when you become close to somebody, you can intermingle with them in an intimate way. You know, you can bump into them and they won't mind. I was walking with a godbrother recently, and because we're close, we were walking down the street, we kept bumping into each other, and we didn't even say we were sorry. There was none of us that were like, you know, we were kind of, we were enjoying it. You know, we just, it was a wobbly sidewalk, and we just kept bumping into each other, and we didn't mind. But when there's a little bit of this kind of reverence, then, you know, it's like, oh, Hare Krishna, I'm so sorry. Thank you very much, and everything like that. But with intimate friends, you don't have that so much. It diminishes. But anyway, these are all topics that are mentioned by the great acharyas in the science of devotional service, all the intimate dealings that Krishna's devotees have with Krishna. And all this can be realized and reawakened by the process of hearing. So, Shastra says, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, one should serve the Bhagavat, the message of God, by constantly hearing, and then one will become saturated and enlivened. Oh no, it's coming up time. So, anyway, it's almost 6:30, isn't it? That's a disaster. But we still have more time because we have a few days left for the parikram and a few days left that we can hear and chant here. And I'll even finish this purport tomorrow, whenever we have the chance. But I wanted you to hear that specific part. Wasn't it worth the price of admission just to hear that?
Yes.
Omkar, would you please come on up here?
Yes, we did.
You got to earn your keep. You got to sing for your supper. This is Omkar. Omkar, could you sing us a beautiful song, Hare Krishna? Take about 7 minutes. Okay? 7 minutes of your time.
We should welcome Manish. He just joined us.
We'd like to heartily welcome Manish, who's just flown all the way from South India to join the yatra. Let's give him a big welcome. We just stayed with Manish and his lovely wife down in Bangalore and his 2 daughters, and he's very much active in the book distribution there in Bangalore, making all kinds of arrangements to increase, especially the Motel Gita. I'm so happy to see you, Manish. Hare Krishna. a choice. After this, okay. After this kirtan, you can go for the elephant procession if you like. That's happening. You'll get a half hour of that just after this, and then there's a snack. Get that and a snack. Elephant and snack. Kirtan, elephant, snack. And I can't beat that with a dummy. And announcements. 5-minute, 2-minute announcements. Okay. Can you make the quick announcements now? Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Just want to do a quick check on are you comfortably settled in your rooms? If you, okay, that's good news. If you have any issues, you can contact Karvin Das or you can contact me. The second thing is that as you would have seen, the internet is working. Leela Mataji's has been online. And there are certain spots over here which are much better than other spots. Karvin, third floor is a much better conducive place to be. To get connected, and if you don't have the password already, then Karvin can provide that to you. Okay, and some of you have asked for duplicate keys to the room, and we talked to Shisha Prabhu, and he's going to arrange this for you. He's actually, Karvin has already started doing the second set of keys. Now for tomorrow. So tomorrow is Advaita Acharya's appearance day. So we'll be fasting till noon, and so those of you who are going to fast, we will, for those of you who are not fasting, we'll be serving breakfast at 9 o'clock, and for those of you who are fasting, you can bring your tiffin box and fill up the breakfast prasadam so that you can break your prasadam at 12 noon, and then we'll have regular lunch at 2 o'clock. And where we are going tomorrow, we're going to Surabhi Kunj, which is actually Guru Maharaj's favorite place in Sri Dham. It's the house of Bhaktivinoda Thakur Maharaj. And so tomorrow, after breakfast, we will depart from here on foot to catch a boat. So we will depart from, we'll all assemble downstairs at 9:30 a.m. and we'll do the kirtan that we did today and walk over to and catch a boat. So again, since it's a boat ride, it's over water, so we like all of you to be just extra careful because it's not like walking on the road. So Surabhi Kunj is the focus of the day tomorrow, so we'll spend the entire day over there and then come back again at 2 o'clock, have prasadam, and then the evening we'll again have a lecture and kirtan with Guru Maharaj from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. So that's for tomorrow. Any questions? All right, that's good. Yeah, sorry. We normally break it with normal prasadam, right? Normal prasadam. Any other question? All right, so over to.
Do we have permission to use 7 Indian minutes, or are we some Swiss management time? Okay. Well, Hare Krishna. And the melody I'll sing for the Maha Mantra tonight is a raga, which is meant for this time of day, just after sunset. And it's said that this very melody was sung by Tukaram, who did kirtan in South India. So that's what they say. So if everybody could please take all the experiences from the dawn and keep them close in your heart, and we can all sing together for the pleasure of the holy name. Jnana Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Paschatya Vishatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
I thought yours was different from mine also. Return also was different.
put in such a way that they can go together. But they try to service it.
Krishna.